I'm sitting here thinking how how Gary Vee talks, still kind of talks, but he used to talk a lot about like candor and kindness and empathy and things of that nature. Um, Simply being like involving and caring about other people. And thought mixed with the stuff I'm seeing like on TikTok and stuff about how HR in people's business, like people's companies' HR, just like don't care about them, simply like lacking empathy. And I was having a conversation yesterday, and we got into the conversation of empathy and how being empathetic could be so much better than like the idea was the conversation went as the lack of empathy in business and this idea of business is bit like this is business. Oh, it's just business. How you in America really we say like business is business, and people usually say that to account for the lack of empathy that they have for their counterpart when doing a business deal. And with that idea of business is business and you break it down, you understand like the lack of empathy on the side of one party negates the feelings of the other party. So you're saying business is business, but the person that is receiving the business or is supposed to receive your business feels a way about how you're running business, and you're negating that feeling by putting it under the umbrella, the guise that business is business. And I feel like we need to bring back the empathetic leader, empathetic business dealings. I know in other countries they actually care about how businesses run, and we talk about relationships, and building relationships is important, but I don't think we really dig into what that relationship building actually looks like, because we're still focused on what am I gonna get from building this relationship outside of the relationship. So when we think about empathy, we think of we can I'm like an empathetic person, right? I actually feel what people are going through when they explain something to me, and I can understand and put myself in their shoes, understanding this is happening to them. What are they feeling? This is probably what they feel. Anger, disappointment, fear, shame, whatever. And so then I take that feeling, and it's assumptive, but if you have an assumption about how someone feels and then you convey that to them, then they can tell you if you're right or not. And if you act with real empathy, you're probably right or you're close to right when you express your assumption about their feelings. So then you take that and you utilize the idea of what do they feel based upon the problem that we're talking about, and how do we move forward? What is the solution, or what are some solutions? Because there's not always one right answer. And even for me, I'm learning how to operate in the gray areas of things. I used to be like completely black and white. Like it's either this or this. It's either this or this or that or this. Now I don't see anything else. This is how it is. When the reality always was, it's a mixture of both, because even if one thing is right, it could still be wrong or not complete. But that like the incompleteness of this answer doesn't mean that this answer doesn't have any rightness in it either. And that's why the gray area has to be combined, like it has to be sought after. And I think when it comes to empathy, a lot more people who lack it could learn from people who not indulge it, but like are full of empathy. People who lack empathy could learn from people who are full of empathy what gray area they can find themselves in. Because someone who has no empathy, who literally can't understand how someone else feels, will not just do that and understand people overnight or in a matter of minutes because of a business meeting or whatever. And I think people who have empathy and people who lack it could work together, and they could form together the gray when it comes to business, because we don't need non-empathetic people who abide by this business is business idea, because this is kind of what we're seeing in the American government. No one's really thinking about how other people are affected, because they don't understand how those people are affected and what those people feel based upon this business decision. And if anyone who embraces empathy or has an empathetic spirit could talk to the people who are making these business decisions, they could just at least share the idea of thinking and taking a minute to think about the people who will be affected by your decision. And we need to get back to this, thinking about how people are going to feel. And it's not always the fact that because someone's going to feel a certain way that you shouldn't do it. It's just understanding how they feel. Because then when they come to you complaining, whatever, then you can at least understand and be like, I'm sorry. We had to do this way because this would be ultimately better. But we thought of you, and we can do this and this so that you can be and feel better about this overall decision. Or a better decision could be made and better solutions could be found if the people making the decisions interacted more deeply with the people who the decisions would affect. And then that way, everyone would get the compromise. Everybody can get their 50-50, 60-40 or whatever from this decision, because everyone understands this has to be done. It can just be done in this way so that everyone has good feelings about it. And it's not going to be everything, but it could be more than what it's been. That's just my thoughts on it. And I think empathy should show its head a bit more in business, in HR, in the government, and even in your day-to-day lives. Because a lot of people maneuver on this in the world forgetting that other people have feelings. And that just don't make sense. It don't make sense. And not everything makes sense, or it's not supposed to make sense. I don't care. It don't make sense. And we need to figure it out. Because if it keeps going the way it do, and everyone just moves in terms of business is business, or this is how it is, life isn't fair, it's never going to be any type of, I can't think of the word, like people are never going to be humans again. And then now we're wondering why they're building robots, because they can make them do what they want to do without worrying about their feelings. You're not a robot, you're a human. Practice empathy. Okay, bye.